Real talk, most open worlds lately just feel like a massive list of chores. It's exhausting. If you're looking for games that actually hook you with insane combat, worlds worth exploring, and stories that will genuinely wreck you, these 15 are mandatory, especially number 1, which completely nailed pure gaming freedom.
What have they done to you? They killed my father.
If you want to see a character pushed to the absolute brink, the modern Tomb Raider trilogy is mandatory playing. This isn't the untouchable dual-pistol Lara Croft of the 90s. This is a brutal, grounded origin story about survival. You watch Lara evolve from a terrified archaeologist into a ruthless, dual-climbing, axe-wielding predator. The gameplay loop is incredibly satisfying, blending tense stealth, explosive set pieces, and genuinely clever, physics-based puzzle tombs. Traversing these harsh, beautifully atmospheric landscapes feels heavy and earned. It perfectly balances the claustrophobia of being trapped in a deadly cavern with the high-octane spectacle of a Hollywood blockbuster. It's gritty, relentless, and the definitive way to experience modern Lara Croft.
Outwit the king? I think the king might have something to say about that.
If you want the absolute pinnacle of tactical jungle survival, Metal Gear Solid Delta is a masterclass. This isn't just a regular stealth game, it's an active battle against nature itself. Thanks to the gorgeous Unreal Engine 5 remake, the jungle feels alive, but the legendary survival depth is completely untouched. You're still hunting local wildlife for food, stitching up your own bloody wounds, and manually swapping camouflage to blend into the mud. But the addition of modern third-person controls and crouch walking completely fixes the clunkiness of the original. Add in an agonizingly high-stakes espionage story and boss fights that are pure psychological poetry, and Delta becomes an absolute mandatory playthrough for any action fan.
All right.
This duology is an absolute emotional wood chipper, but man, is it essential. The Last of Us takes the post-apocalypse and makes it terrifyingly intimate. The combat here isn't stylish, it's desperate, heavy, and brutally violent. Every single brick thrown, pipe swung, and bullet fired feels like a life-or-death struggle. Part 1 lays down the legendary, heartbreaking emotional foundation, while Part 2 ratchets up the gameplay tension with massive, terrifyingly vertical combat arenas and unmatched enemy AI. It's a relentless, cinematic gut punch that will leave you staring at the credits in total silence. You don't just play these games, you survive them, and they will stick with you for years.
Don't try anything. Quiet down.
Before this masterpiece, superhero games were a complete joke. Arkham Asylum didn't just break the curse, it revolutionized modern third-person combat forever. Dropping Batman into a claustrophobic, gothic mental institution was a stroke of genius. The rhythmic, fluid, free-flow combat makes you feel like an unstoppable, bone-snapping force of nature, while the invisible Predator segments turn the tables, letting you terrorize criminals from the shadows. It perfectly captures the dark, comic book atmosphere without any open-world fluff or filler. It's tight, it's atmospheric, and it completely nails the core fantasy of actually being the damn Batman. Over 15 years later, and it still holds up beautifully. If you think action-adventure games have gotten too serious and movie-like, Devil May Cry 5 is the antidote. This game doesn't care about realism. It cares about looking impossibly cool. The combat loop here is pure, unadulterated dopamine. You are constantly juggling enemies in the air, swapping weapons on the fly, and revving a motorcycle like a giant chainsaw, all while a dynamic heavy metal soundtrack turns up the volume based on how stylish your combos are. It's fast, loud, and mechanically brilliant. If you want a game that tests your reflexes and rewards creative destruction with pure adrenaline, Dante and Nero have got you covered.
How about we wrap this?
I see.
This duology completely rewrote the rules of open-world adventure. Instead of holding your hand and cluttering your map with annoying waypoints, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom just point to the horizon and whisper, "Go find out." The sense of organic discovery here is unmatched. But when Tears of the Kingdom introduced full-blown vehicle construction and physics manipulation, it turned the entire world into a giant sandbox of chaotic genius. You aren't just following a quest line. You are breaking the game's engineering systems to solve puzzles in ways the developers didn't even intend. It is pure, unfiltered adventure and absolute mechanical freedom.
Be careful!
I wonder. Minoru.
Yeah, I think so.
Reinventing a masterpiece is a death sentence, but Capcom somehow caught lightning in a bottle twice. The Resident Evil 4 remake takes the campy, action-packed horror of the original and turns it into a relentless, modern stress test. The combat pacing here is immaculate. You're constantly managing crowd control, parrying chainsaw blades with a combat knife, and lining up perfect headshots just to suplex a cultist into the dirt. It strips away the slow, backtracking horror of traditional survival games and replaces it with pure, high-octane momentum. It's scary, it's thrilling, and the gameplay loop is so addictive, you'll want to start New Game Plus the second the credits roll.
Easy.
Ghost of Tsushima is a visual masterpiece that treats open-world exploration like fine art. There are no ugly mini-maps or radar arrows here. Instead, the literal wind guides you across stunning fields of swaying pampas grass and bloody battlefields. The combat is incredibly sharp, letting you swap stances dynamically to dismantle enemy defenses like a true samurai cinema icon. But the real magic is the tension between honor and survival, as Jin Sakai slowly turns into the terrifying Ghost. It's a beautiful, sweeping historical epic that balances peaceful, poetic world-building with some of the most satisfying, lethal swordplay ever put to disc.
Please help.
Dake. Only problem is it's held by Mongols. You need...
Insomniac already perfected the web-swinging fantasy, but Spider-Man 2 takes the momentum and straps a rocket booster to it. Web wings completely change the traversal game, letting you rocket through the Manhattan skyline at dizzying breakneck speeds that feel utterly exhilarating. The dual protagonist dynamic keeps the narrative fresh, especially when Peter gets corrupted by the symbiote suit, unleashing brutal, heavy combat alien abilities that contrast beautifully with Miles' high-voltage bioelectricity. The boss fights are massive cinematic spectacles that feel straight out of a multi-million-dollar summer blockbuster. It's pure comic book wish fulfillment, executed at the absolute highest technical level.
Parvis Magna.
Sig Parvis Magna.
If you want the absolute pinnacle of the Hollywood blockbuster gaming experience, you play Uncharted. Nathan Drake's adventures are the ultimate cinematic roller coaster. The shooting is snappy, the ancient environments are gorgeous, but it's the jaw-dropping set pieces that cement this series in history. We're talking about dangling out of a cargo plane over a desert, escaping a sinking cruise ship, and scaling a collapsing train hanging off a cliffside. Combined with incredible, witty character chemistry and stories that feel like the best Indiana Jones movies we never got, this series is pure entertainment from start to finish.
Here!
Can't remember that guy's name.
Shortcut to what?
To Avery's treasure.
Why not? I'm feeling good too.
Calling Red Dead 2 video game feels like an understatement. It's a living, breathing digital ecosystem. The pacing here is notoriously slow, deliberate, and deeply immersive, forcing you to slow down and live the cowboy life. You feel the weight of every single animation, from skinning a deer to cleaning your revolver. Arthur Morgan's journey through the dying Wild West is arguably the greatest, most tragic character study in gaming history. The shootouts are chaotic, heavy, and cinematic. But it's the quiet moments riding your horse across the snowy mountains that make this world unforgettable. It's an absolute masterpiece of scale and detail.
Yep.
Sekiro takes the traditional action-adventure formula and strips away the RPG padding to deliver the most precise, demanding combat system ever made. There is no over-leveling or hiding behind a giant shield here. You either master the rhythm of the sword-clashing parry system or you die. Every single boss fight feels like an intense, hyper-focused dance of steel, where hesitation means instant death. But when that combat rhythm finally clicks, when you effortlessly deflect a giant sword and land a fatal shinobi deathblow, it is a rush of pure, earned adrenaline that no other game on this list can replicate. It's brutal, but flawless.
Sorry, guys. This burning hunk of love is all mine.
Brilliant!
There's a reason GTA 5 has survived 3 console generations. It is the ultimate chaotic urban playground. The brilliant 3-character dynamic keeps the pacing moving at a frantic clip, letting you bounce between a retired bank robber, a street-level hustler, and a literal psychotic hillbilly. The heist missions are the absolute peak of the adventure, letting you plan, gear up, and execute massive cinematic robberies across a sprawling, terrifyingly accurate satire of Los Angeles. It balances absurd, over-the-top action with an incredibly tight open-world sandbox that still sets the industry standard for freedom and chaotic fun.
I'm putting you out of business, motherfuckers! What are you waiting for? Shoot that son of a bitch!
This franchise accomplished the impossible. It took a rage-fueled hack-and-slash cartoon icon and turned him into one of the deepest, most compelling characters in media history. The Norse duology is an absolute triumph. The camera never cuts away, pulling you intimately into Kratos' grueling journey of fatherhood. But don't worry, the combat is still gloriously brutal. Throwing and recalling the Leviathan axe feels so satisfyingly heavy it should be illegal. And the cinematic boss fights literally shatter the landscape around you. It balances mature, heartbreaking storytelling with epic, god-slaying spectacle better than almost anything else on the market.
On your guard, Kratos!
Leave yourself an opening! Don't waste it!
Did it rub you wrong when I took this brig as mine own?
Yeah, it's an Assassin's Creed game, but let's be honest, this is the greatest pirate simulator ever created. Black Flag takes the #1 spot because it captures the pure, romantic spirit of high seas adventure perfectly. The gameplay loop is flawless. You seamlessly hop on your ship, sail into a massive tropical storm, disable a massive Spanish galleon with a volley of cannon fire, and then swing across on a rope to board it with dual cutlasses drawn, all while your crew sings lively sea shanties in the background. It traded the stuffy, rigid historical sci-fi lore for absolute, unadulterated, swashbuckling freedom, and it remains the ultimate action-adventure masterpiece.
Hope shot. But for you swinging from the tree tomorrow.